Jax's revenge domain.
It's not a priority right now. That's what Diane Foster said when I walked into her office for the third time in 2 months. The HR director didn't even look up from her computer screen, just kept typing while I stood there explaining how the company had been stealing from me and 22 other guys for 7 months straight. My name's Wayne Hudson. I'm 48 years old, been working construction for 15 years after my time in the Navy. What I'm about to tell you might sound familiar if you've ever trusted your company to do right by you. Let me back up and explain how this whole thing started. I work for Atlas Construction Solutions. Been there since 2018. Good company, or so I thought. I coordinate projects, make sure the concrete pours happen on schedule, that the electrical crews show up when they're supposed to, that we don't have 12 different trades trying to work in the same space at the same time. It's detail work. You miss something, the whole project gets delayed and costs everyone money. The job was straightforward when I started. Employee status, hourly pay plus overtime, health insurance, 401 kilo with company matching. Nothing fancy, but honest work for honest pay. I clocked in, did my job, clocked out, went home to my wife Janet and our daughter Sophie. Simple. Everything changed when they brought in Brad Hoffman as the new operations director. January 2023. This guy was 34 years old, MBA from some fancy school, spent 5 years in management consulting before landing at Atlas. First week on the job, he scheduled individual meetings with all the senior coordinators. I walked into his office on a Thursday morning. Brad had spreadsheets covering his desk, cost analysis reports, efficiency metrics. He smiled the kind of smile that doesn't reach your eyes and shook my hand like he was closing a business deal. Wayne, I've been reviewing your file. Excellent work history. No safety incidents, projects consistently on time and under budget. He paused, looking at his computer screen. But I think we can optimize your employment structure. Optimize. That was the first red flag, but I didn't recognize it at the time. What do you mean by optimize? I asked. We're transitioning several key coordinators from employee status to independent contractor agreements. More flexibility for everyone involved. You'll have the same responsibilities, same project authority, but with contractor independence. He handed me a packet of papers. Take a look at this. I think you'll find the compensation structure very attractive. I flipped through the documents that night at my kitchen table. The hourly rate looked higher at first glance, $35 per hour instead of my current $28. But when I started reading the fine print, things got complicated fast. No more health insurance, no more 401k matching, no more paid time off. And despite being called an independent contractor, I still had to follow company policies, use company equipment, work company hours, report to company supervisors. The math didn't work. Even with the higher hourly rate, losing the benefits package meant I'd be taking home less money. And that was assuming they'd actually pay me for every hour I worked, which turned out to be a big assumption. I went back to Brad's office the next week with questions. The contractor rate is higher, I said, but without benefits, I'm losing money overall. Brad leaned back in his chair. Wayne, think bigger picture here. As a contractor, you have business deductions, tax advantages, professional flexibility. This is career advancement. What if I want to stay employee status? His smile got tighter. We're restructuring the entire coordination department. Everyone's moving to the new model. It's not really optional. That was red flag number 2. When a company says something isn't optional but tries to make it sound like a choice, you're probably getting screwed. I signed the contractor agreement. Looking back, I should have walked away right then, but I had a mortgage and Sophie was looking at colleges. I needed the job. The first month as a contractor, things seemed normal. I worked my regular 45 hours, submitted my timesheet, got paid. The second month, they started adding weekend site inspections. Mandatory attendance, but somehow these hours kept disappearing from my approved timesheets. When I asked about it, Brad told me that contractor payments were based on project completion milestones, not hourly tracking. By month 3, I was working 55-hour weeks but getting paid for 40. When I brought this up, Brad explained that contractors were expected to handle administrative tasks on their own time. Things like safety documentation, project reports, coordination emails. Stuff that used to be paid work time was now business overhead. Month 4 was when I realized what was really happening. I wasn't an independent contractor. I was an employee with all the responsibilities and none of the protections. Same desk, same supervisor, same schedule, same rules. But no overtime pay, no health insurance, no workers' compensation coverage if I got hurt on site. I started documenting everything. Time in, time out, tasks completed, emails received after hours. I kept a small notebook in my truck and wrote down every detail. Old Navy habit, when something doesn't look right, you document it. The health insurance situation hit us hard in month 5. Janate's school district insurance covered her but not dependents. We had to put Sophie on a marketplace plan that cost $340 per month with a $6,000 deductible. Our family budget went from comfortable to tight overnight. Month 6, I finally scheduled a meeting with HR. Diana Foster had been with Atlas for 12 years. Seemed like a straight shooter. I walked into her office with my documentation and explained the situation politely. I think there might be a misclassification issue with the contractor agreements. I said, we're still functioning as employees, but without the legal protections. Diana nodded and took notes. I'll look into this, Wayne. Let me review the agreements and get back to you. 3 weeks later, nothing had changed. I was still working 55-hour weeks, still getting paid for 40, still dealing with Brad's milestone-based compensation explanation whenever I questioned the missing hours. I scheduled another meeting with Diane. I've reviewed your situation, she said. Our legal team confirms that the contractor classifications are appropriate. You have flexibility and independence that employee status doesn't provide. What flexibility? I work the same hours, follow the same policies, report to the same supervisor. You have the independence to manage your own business operations. It was like talking to a recording. Someone had fed her the exact language to shut down these conversations. Month 7 was the breaking point. Brad scheduled mandatory Saturday inspections for all contractors, 8 hours of weekend work reviewing safety protocols and project documentation. When I asked about compensation, he explained that this was professional development and part of our contractor agreements. I went home that Saturday night and sat in my garage for 2 hours. Janet found me there around 10 p.m., still in my work clothes, staring at my toolbox. You okay? She asked. They're stealing from us, I said. Brad's taking advantage of 23 guys who just want to do honest work and get paid fairly. What are you going to do about it? That was the question. What was I going to do about it? Monday morning, I scheduled my 3rd meeting with Diane Foster. This time, I wasn't polite. I wasn't diplomatic. I was exhausted. I've been working 55-hour weeks for 7 months and getting paid for 40, I said. This isn't legal. I know it's not legal. The Department of Labor has specific tests for contractor classification, and we don't meet any of them. Diane didn't take notes this time. She just looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. Tired, maybe, or annoyed. It's not a priority right now, she said. I walked out of her office and sat in my truck in the parking lot for 20 minutes. I wasn't upset. I was calculating. The spirit level on my dashboard was perfectly centered, but everything else in my world was completely off balance. That night, I opened my laptop and went to the Department of Labor website. I'd looked at it before, but never seriously considered filing a complaint. It felt too big, too confrontational, but 3 meetings, 3 attempts to fix the problem through proper channels, and nothing had changed. The complaint form was detailed. It wanted everything: employment history, job duties, work schedules, payment records. I filled it out methodically, like I was creating a construction blueprint. Every measurement had to be precise. I listed every hour I'd worked in the past 7 months. I attached my job description. I explained exactly how my daily tasks were identical to employee duties. I included the names of the other 22 coordinators who'd been reclassified the same way. Then I added something else. I'd done my research on Brad's background, his performance metrics, his bonus structure. His compensation was directly tied to operational cost reduction. The contractor reclassifications had cut departmental labor costs by 32%. That wasn't efficiency improvement. That was wage theft with a fancy title. I submitted the complaint at 11:47 p.m. Then I closed the laptop and went to bed. For the first time in months, I slept straight through the night. 4 days passed. 4 days where I showed up to work and coordinated projects like nothing had changed. Like I hadn't just filed a federal complaint that could blow up everything. Thursday afternoon, I was reviewing concrete delivery schedules when Brad's assistant came running through the project office. Actually running, she never ran. Always composed. Always moving at exactly the right pace to look busy but not frantic. "Where's Diane?" she shouted to anyone who would listen. "The Department of Labor is here. They want all contractor files for the past 2 years." I kept working on my delivery schedule. Truck 1 arriving at 7 a.m., Truck 2 at 9 a.m., Truck 3 at 11 a.m. Everything had to be sequenced perfectly or the pour would fail. The DOL doesn't call ahead. They just show up with legal authority and start auditing. It's the only way to get accurate information. If you warn a company you're coming, they have time to reclassify people temporarily, hide documents, coach employees on what to say. An hour later, footsteps approached my desk. 2 people I recognized before I turned around. Diane Foster and someone from the legal department I'd seen in meetings but never spoken to. Both looked like they'd aged 5 years in 60 minutes. "Wayne, why didn't you tell us you'd contacted the Department of Labor?" Diane's voice came out strained, higher than normal. I set down my pen. I did tell you. 3 times you didn't say you were going to file a federal complaint. You said my concerns weren't a priority. I made them a priority. The legal person stepped forward. This is a major issue, Wayne. We could have handled this internally. Now we have federal investigators requesting documentation for everyone in your department and 2 other departments. I worked 55-hour weeks for 7 months without proper compensation. I reported it through proper channels 3 times. Nothing changed. What was I supposed to do? They walked away without answering. I watched them disappear back into the administrative offices where the investigators were probably asking very uncomfortable questions about contractor classifications and compensation structures. The investigation took 8 weeks. 8 weeks where the entire office felt like someone had turned down the volume on everything. People spoke quieter, moved more carefully. Brad stopped doing his morning walks through the project area. He stayed in his office with the door closed. Investigators came back 4 times. They interviewed people, pulled time records, requested emails and documentation about contractor agreements. I was interviewed twice, once for 90 minutes, once for 45 minutes. They asked about my daily tasks, my work hours, whether anyone had explicitly told me I couldn't be an employee anymore, whether I'd raised concerns internally before filing the complaint. I told them everything, showed them my notebook with 7 months of detailed time tracking, gave them the dates of my 3 meetings with HR, explained how 22 other coordinators in my department had been reclassified the same way. Did you notice any pattern to these reclassifications? The lead investigator asked. She was maybe 50 years old, gray hair, eyes that looked like they'd heard every excuse in the world. They all happened within a 4-month period after our new operations director started, I said, and they all eliminated overtime costs and benefit expenses significantly. Did your operations director receive any bonuses or compensation tied to departmental cost reduction? Yes, he got a large bonus at year-end. People in accounting talked about it. Departmental costs had dropped by 32%. The investigator wrote something down. Thank you. This is helpful. Weeks passed. I kept working, kept coordinating projects. The office felt suspended in something heavy and waiting. Then one morning, 8 weeks and 3 days after the DOL investigators first showed up, an email went out to everyone in my department. Meeting in conference room B at 2 p.m. Attendance mandatory. We gathered at the scheduled time. All 23 of us who'd been reclassified, plus several people from other departments I didn't know well. Management was there. HR was there. Someone from the legal team was there wearing an expression that looked like physical pain. The legal person stood up first. The Department of Labor has completed their investigation into contractor classification practices. They've determined that certain positions were incorrectly classified as independent contractors rather than employees. My heart was beating loud enough that I worried everyone could hear it. The company is required to pay back wages for all unpaid overtime work during the period of misclassification. We're also implementing immediate corrective measures to ensure proper classification going forward. She sat down. Diane stood up. You'll each receive individual notifications about your back pay calculations. The company takes these findings seriously. We're committed to compliance with all federal labor regulations. Nobody asked questions. Nobody said anything. We all just sat there absorbing what that meant. Back pay? They had to pay us what they'd stolen. 2 days later, an envelope appeared on my desk. Inside was a letter with numbers, calculations, hours worked, overtime owed. The total made my vision blur for a second. $27,800. That's what they'd stolen from me over 7 months. That's what they owed me now. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part came 4 days after that. Brad was gone. Just gone. His office empty. Nameplate removed. Someone mentioned he'd been terminated. Someone else said it was more than termination. The company was demanding he return bonuses. I didn't understand at first. Then someone from accounting explained it to me in the parking lot, speaking quietly like they were sharing classified information. The DOL investigator had documented something specific in their report. They noted that Brad's bonus structure was directly connected to departmental cost savings achieved through misclassifications. The bonuses weren't just rewards for good management, they were personal enrichment obtained through illegal labor practices. Atlas's legal team, trying to protect the company from liability, had determined that those bonuses could be considered proceeds from wage theft. They'd calculated 18 months of bonuses, $175,000. They wanted it back. All of it. Brad didn't have it. He'd bought a house the year before, made a down payment that used most of his savings. He'd been counting on those annual bonuses continuing. Now the company wanted their money back, and he had to pay it. The back paychecks arrived the following week, $27,800. I deposited it the same day, stood at the bank watching the teller process the check. watching the numbers appear in my account balance. Money I'd already earned months ago, money that should have been mine all along. Atlas brought in someone new to replace Brad. Her name was Teresa Valdez, late 40s, former military logistics officer. First thing she did was call a department meeting. "I've reviewed all contractor classifications," she said. Effective immediately, everyone misclassified as contractors is being reclassified as employees. You'll get your health insurance back, your 401k matching back, your overtime pay back. Someone asked if we'd keep the coordinator titles. "You can keep whatever titles you want," Teresa said. "But titles don't matter as much as fair compensation and proper classification. You do good work, you should be paid properly for it." That was it. Simple, direct, the way it should have been from the beginning. Diana transferred to a different Atlas location 3 weeks later. I never saw her again. Someone told me she requested the transfer. Someone else said management had suggested it. Either way, she was gone. Brad's office stayed empty for 2 months. They eventually converted it into storage space for project files. Sometimes I walk past and glance through the door, boxes of blueprints, filing cabinets, surveying equipment. No person, no nameplate, just empty space where someone used to sit and calculate how much money they could save by stealing from the people who worked for them. The other 22 coordinators got their back pay too. Amounts varied, some had been reclassified longer than I had, some worked more overtime. The total Atlas had to pay out was $50,000 and $50,000 in stolen wages they had to return because one guy finally stopped asking nicely and started demanding legally. Carlos Mendoza, who'd been there 20 years, got the biggest check, $34,500. He'd been working 60-hour weeks since the reclassification started. When he deposited that money, he told me it felt like Christmas and his birthday rolled into one. "My wife didn't believe it at first," he said. "She thought it was some kind of scam, had to show her the official letterhead 3 times before she'd let me deposit it." The ripple effects kept spreading. Teresa's review found classification issues in 2 other departments, more investigations, more back pay, more people getting what they'd earned. I heard through the construction grapevine that Brad was working for a smaller company now, making about half what he used to make at Atlas. No bonuses tied to cost reduction, no fancy title, just regular management work at regular management pay. Meanwhile, Teresa implemented new policies, clear guidelines for employee versus contractor classification, regular audits to ensure compliance, open-door policy for any classification concerns. She even posted the DOL guidelines in the break room so everyone could see exactly what the law required. "Transparency prevents problems," she told me during one of our monthly check-ins. "When everyone knows the rules, it's harder for anyone to break them." The health insurance situation resolved itself immediately. Sophie came off the expensive marketplace plan and went back on the family coverage. $340 per month back in our budget. Plus the peace of mind that comes with knowing your family is properly covered. Janet stopped worrying about the mortgage payments. The back pay covered Sophie's first semester tuition with enough left over to rebuild our emergency fund. For the first time in months, our kitchen table conversations weren't about money stress. I still work there, still coordinate projects, still make sure the concrete pours happen on schedule. My truck is the same, my commute is the same, but something feels different now. Lighter, like I'm not carrying something heavy that I didn't realize was weighing me down. Sophie's starting college in the fall. The back pay covered her first-year tuition with enough left over for textbooks and a decent laptop. She's studying engineering, says she wants to build things that last. When she told me that, I thought about the foundation work I coordinate, how everything above ground depends on what's built below, how you can't see most of the important work, but it's what holds everything else up. Janet doesn't check our bank balance twice a day anymore. The health insurance stress is gone. Her district finally approved dependent coverage. So we're back to one family plan with reasonable copays and no $6,000 deductible hanging over our heads. The 401k matching resumed immediately after Teresa took over. My retirement account started growing again instead of just sitting there. At 48, I don't have decades left to build it back up, but I've got time if I'm smart about it. The back pay helped rebuild what we'd lost during the contractor months. Teresa implemented something Brad never would have considered: quarterly reviews of all employee classifications. Not performance reviews, classification reviews. She brings in an outside labor attorney to audit our positions and make sure everyone's properly categorized. It takes half a day every quarter, but it prevents problems before they start. Prevention costs less than lawsuits, she told me, and it's the right thing to do. Word spread through the construction industry about what happened at Atlas. Other guys started calling me, asking about the DOL process, how to document classification issues, what evidence you need to file a complaint. I helped where I could, shared what I'd learned. 3 other companies in our area ended up under DOL investigation within 6 months. Turns out the contractor misclassification scheme wasn't unique to Atlas. It was an industry-wide problem that nobody wanted to talk about until somebody finally did. Carlos started a group text with all 23 of us who got reclassified. We share information about labor law changes, DOL updates, industry news that affects our rights. It's become a support network for guys who never thought they'd need one. Knowledge is power, Carlos says. They can't take advantage of you if you know your rights. The notebook I kept during those 7 months sits in my truck's glove compartment. I still write things down when something doesn't look right. It's become automatic. Old habits from the Navy, reinforced by necessity. Document everything. Assume nothing. Trust but verify. Brad's replacement at his new company lasted 8 months before getting fired for the same kind of classification games he'd pulled at Atlas. Apparently, some people never learn. The construction industry talks, and word gets around about managers who can't play by the rules. I heard he's working in a different state now. Smaller company, much smaller title. Some bridges you can't rebuild once you've burned them down. Teresa offered me a promotion to senior coordinator with actual supervisory responsibilities. Real management duties that would justify exempt status under federal law. I thought about it for a week before accepting. The extra money helps, but more than that, it feels good to have advancement that's legitimate instead of just a way to avoid paying overtime. My new responsibilities include training other coordinators on labor law basics, not legal advice, just the fundamentals of classification, overtime rules, what constitutes employee versus contractor work. Teresa wants everyone to understand their rights so we never end up in this situation again. Education prevents exploitation, she says, and she's right. The spirit level on my dashboard still reads true. I check it every morning before starting the truck, not because I need to anymore, but because it reminds me that some things can be measured, verified, corrected when they're wrong. Work should be like that too, honest, level, built on solid foundations. The DOL investigation file is closed now, but the lessons stick. Federal agencies exist for a reason. They have power when they choose to use it. Sometimes the system works if you know which part of the system to use. Atlas paid $850,000 in back wages and another $200,000 in federal penalties. They implemented new training programs, policy changes, compliance procedures. The whole company culture shifted from cost-cutting at any cost to following the law and treating people fairly. Change is possible, but it doesn't happen by asking nicely. It happens when people document problems, follow proper procedures, and use the tools that exist to protect workers' rights. The other coordinators and I were not the same guys who got taken advantage of 2 years ago. We know our rights now. We know how to recognize problems early. We know what to do when someone tries to steal our wages with fancy titles and corporate doublespeak. Most importantly, we know we're not alone. When one person stands up, others will too. When 23 people get their stolen wages back, word spreads. When federal investigators start showing up at companies, behavior changes fast. People ask me sometimes if I was scared to file that complaint, if I worried about retaliation or losing my job. The answer is yes, I was terrified. But I was also tired of working 55 hours and being paid for 40, tired of asking for basic fairness and being dismissed. Tired of watching someone profit from my unpaid labor while telling me it wasn't a priority. Sometimes making something a priority means taking it out of someone else's hands and putting it in the hands of people who actually care about fixing it. The Department of Labor cared. They did their job. Justice got served the right way through the system. If you've ever felt like your workplace concerns didn't matter, like your voice wasn't being heard, I hope this shows you that sometimes the system works if you know which part of the system to use. Document everything. Know your rights. Don't be afraid to use the tools that exist to protect you. And remember, you're not asking for special treatment. You're demanding fair treatment. There's a difference, and that difference matters. Your work has value. Your time has value. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.